I would
Well,
regret it if people look back at the first episode and you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's called forward thinking.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Connor could shove that article up his ass.
And then I went to that game and I was like, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm a Jet fan. This is going to be the greatest run ever. Yeah.
No, because if they take Aquanu, I'm not complaining.
Joe Douglas is the king of keeping shit close to the vest.
A 2, a 4, and a 6 for Darnold?
Did the Jets really ruin Sam Darnold, or did Sam Darnold just suck all along and we were just trying to talk ourselves into it?
And Hamilton is a player who can potentially make a very big impact.
And suddenly here we are today, you can't get rid of him.
Right, it's like a plague.
Joe Douglas was hired because he's not those general managers.
Okay, Luscious.
Somebody is going to fall just like Elijah Moore did, just like Michael Carter did.
You know, what would, if you had one sentence to say to Joe Douglas, what would you say? So you would say, you had me at hello, and then give him a big old wet one right on the smack.
This is not good. I'm having microphone problems. This is not good. It has not been a good day, as you can imagine. It's been a lousy day. I mean, what else is there to say? I don't know how anybody could say it wasn't a lousy day. When the Jets lose, it's lousy. Could have been worse. It was 20-3, and I was getting that feeling, like, you know, that feeling, like we're about to get blown out and embarrassed and humiliated. And I must say, that didn't happen. We did not get blown out and embarrassed and humiliated. We stood toe-to-toe with them. We didn't give up. And, you know, what could you say? We didn't give up. We fought to the bitter end. And we came back as a team. We made that a great game as a team. We lost as a team. We lost as a team. There was things that everybody had a little bit to do with that loss. They did. You know, I mean, I can't blame our defense, really. Minnesota has a great offense, but we made it a little too easy, one of those touchdowns. The last touchdown was a little too easy. But to me, it felt like mostly the coaching. I mean, most of my anger or my being upset is the coaching. Because, like, physical things, you can't help. Like, we get so mad at people for dropping passes. Right? And, like, but it's the coaches that let Conklin stay in. Like Conklin could sit there and say, it's just another game. He's a liar. Because, I mean, I'm like, Conklin's hot and cold. I've called it since the beginning. Everyone's like on his stick like he's this amazing star. And I'm like, look, let's be honest. Conklin's hot and cold. But he was dropping everything. I'm not really dropping. He just wasn't making good catches. And a tight end is the one who's supposed to make good catches, right? That's what I grew up. I grew up on tight ends that made good catches. You didn't have to throw it right into their freaking belly or chest every time for them to make a catch. And we've seen Conklin make good catches. Today he couldn't. Corey Davis dropped a lot. There's a lot of guys who drop passes today. A lot of guys just dropping passes. And then we had the big drop at the end, which is hard to understand because I've never seen Berrios let us down like that. I mean, that's the only way to say it. It's like the one thing we loved about Berrios the last 2 years is he's so solid. Like he's just, I see that, Nick. He's such a solid player, Berrios. I mean, I love him. But understand, Berrios, I mean, like, it's a physical mistake. Like, it happens. It can't be undone. Like, it has nothing to do with his attitude. It's not like he didn't want to catch the ball. You know, it happened. It just happened. For whatever reason, why that had to happen to him in that moment, I feel bad for him. Because trust me, he's more devastated than any of us. I mean, he prides himself on working so hard. But it happened. Right? No, I didn't know he was out for the season. Wow, we'll talk about that. Jimmy G out for the season. I got to make a video as fast as I can. So What was I saying? But, it's not just Barrios, though. That's the play that's going to stick out. I made a video about it. That's the play. If I could pick one play I wanted back, that's the easiest one. Like, if I could fix one thing, I could say Barrios makes that catch. That's the obvious one you're going to pick, because that right away gives us a lead with only a minute and a half left to go. But that's not the only reason we lost. We should have won that game by a lot. We're in the red zone a dozen times, right? 5, 6 times. We shouldn't have been in a situation where Barrios had to make that catch for it to mean the game. It's not fair that it was Barrios who has to take the grunt of it, even though that is the play, and I understand that we're all upset about it. He shouldn't have been in that position. And I think Tigo said that the best in our post game. We put him in a position where dropping a pass, we should have never been in a 4th down situation where if we don't catch the ball, we lost the game. We were in that situation because of Mike LaFleur, and I'm just going to call it out. I'm not saying that means he's a bad offensive coordinator, we should fire him, or he's on the hot seat, or I don't think he's the right guy for the job. I'm not saying any of that. But the reality is, he got to learn. This got to stop. This is annoying already. He's making the same mistake over and over again. At some point, there has to be accountability on his part. He keeps saying that he's learning in the press conference. I'm tired of hearing, my fault, I got to do better. Well, if you know what? If you're going to say you got to do better, then do better. Don't do the same crap, the same mistake. Mike LaFleur literally lost us that game because he made the same mistake 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row. 3 different drives in a row. They were consecutive drives. We had the ball 3 times in a row where we went down into the red zone, or at least close to it. 3 times. 3 times our players worked their tails off us and got us there in a situation to score. And 3 times, and this is what I call it, big brother, little brother complex. I need to show my big brother and everybody in the world that I'm smart. And I need to do some trick play that's going to make me look like a genius. It's no different than when Zach flicks the ball sidearm when he doesn't have to. And we all say, oh my God. That's something, right? We get frustrated and say Zach has to learn. You could sidearm and flick the pass if that's the only pass you have. And, the game's on the line or the drive is on the line. But if you can, you use your fundamentals. You plant your feet. You get into good fundamentals and you throw the pass correctly. Well, it's the same thing with Mike LaFleur. There's no excuse to throw the ball backwards. There's no excuse. Against New England, you could try that shit. We were freaking 3 points the whole game. Fine. Try a trick play. Fine. Nothing else is working. Fine. We walked down the field 3 times in a row, and 3 times in a row, he stopped the drive, not the Vikings. Mike LaFleur stopped the drive because of his ego and pride need to show off. Because he had to call some stupid play with our guys running backwards, stupid nonsense to show us how smart he is. And I blame Saleh for not going up to him after the first 2 times and calling him on that stupid phone and saying, knock it off. Grow up. We were walking down the field. They were not able to stop us. And what does he do? He kills the momentum 3 times in a row. Kills it. Kills our momentum. 3 drives in a row. And says, I need to show off now and call some stupid play. Some stupid, ridiculous play where I have a guy get the ball 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage as if we're not playing against another NFL team. It's stupid. You want to do it at your own 25-yard line? You haven't moved the ball all day? You need a spark? Fine. Try a trick play. But when you're walking down the field and you have them on their heels and everything is going well, your running back is averaging 6 yards a carry. They can't stop you. And you're going to call some stupid play. And then you're going to do it the next drive? Again, the same stupid kind of play? And then a third time. Mike LaFleur should be benched. He should be inactive as the offensive coordinator for the next 2 weeks. If there's any reasonableness to them not being complete hypocrites, because they stand on that podium and they talk about accountability. We've watched them bench Mims time and time again. They stole a year of his career because of penalties, right? Because he didn't know the playbook. He didn't know this. Elijah Moore didn't touch the ball for 4 games after he opened his mouth, right? Everybody has consequences. Marcel Harris, we still don't know why he was cut and then put on the practice squad, and why he dropped down so far that first they brought in Shaz and then they brought in Nasruddin above him. There was no explanation for it, but apparently he did something wrong. But what happens to Mike LaFleur? What happens to him for blatantly putting himself above the team? Because he needed to show off, maybe because his big brother needed to see him calling a fancy play. We didn't need those plays. We were moving down the field. They could not stop us. We were the better team again. I am so tired of being the better team and losing. It's enough already of being the better team and losing. They're getting these other fans of this other team, these stupid Viking fans that think they beat us, that they're better than us, when they're clearly not better than us. Because they're too stupid to know that it wasn't their defense. It was our stupid coaching that decided to let them off the hook. Hey, you can't stop us. We just walked down 70 yards down the field. We're going to do you a favor. We're going to have Berrios come around the back and pitch the ball backwards 5 yards. Or Garrett Wilson, and he's going to throw the ball. That's what we wanted. Garrett is the quarterback. Why would you do that? What kind of stupidity is that? Complete stupidity. That's why we can't blame Berrios. I know you don't want to be mad at him. He dropped the ball. It was a physical mistake. He didn't do it on purpose. He wasn't trying to show off. It just happened for some stupid reason. He couldn't make this catch that was right in his chest. I don't know why. He didn't have to reach out for it. It was within his shoulders. He was coming across the middle, and it came a little bit to his right. He had both hands on it. He should have been able to pull it in. He should have. It wasn't even that hard of a catch. He just couldn't do it. He made a mistake. He dropped the ball. It happens. But that's not why we lost. Yeah, we could have won if he caught it, but that's not why we lost. It's not the whole why. There's a lot more to the why we lost. Because we should have been up. We should not have been trailing them at that point. We were taking field goals and settling for field goals because Mike LaFleur has the ego of a freaking Goodyear blimp. However you want, whatever's big in the world. Just an ego. Stupid ego. Right? They talk about boring football. Hey, hey, Robert Saleh, wake up. Wake up. You're saying that Zach didn't know how to play boring football? How about your offensive coordinator? All he had to do was hand the ball to the off and just pound it in. But he had to get cute. Always has to get cute. There's so many sure, high percentage plays that you can try. And what does he do? He tries to get fancy. So annoying. Annoying. And you know what? I know Tyler Conklin was so bad. And it's amazing how people just defend because they like him. I hate people that constantly defend the players they like and can't honestly say the player played like crap. I mean, really, we got to wake up here. Johnny G, I was just saying that for the last 10 minutes, blaming Mike LaFleur. So you just came into a chat to tell me that. And that's exactly what I've been talking about. That's what I've been talking about, Johnny. Yeah, look, Braxton dropping the would-be go-ahead pass for the win did not help. Obviously, we're going to think about that, and he's going to think about that play for a long time. But the reality is, the Thanks, Talking Tico. The reality is we should not have been in that position. Mike LaFleur put us in that position. Mike LaFleur put us in a position where we were playing to save the game instead of playing to conserve a victory, like just to hold down a victory. Because we had so many times in that red zone where Mike LaFleur decided that he needed to show off to his big brother. That's what I'm going to say. That's my theory. He was trying to show off to his big brother. It wasn't good enough for us to just score a touchdown. He had to look fancy doing it. He had to take the credit and steal it from the players. That's what was going. That's what Mike LaFleur did. He tried to steal the glory from the players because we were owning them. We were on top of them. We were physically better than them. They were on their heels. They could not stop us. And Mike LaFleur said, rather than just do what I'm doing, the basic plays, and scoring a touchdown, maybe handing it off to Bam a couple of times, maybe just play action pass, throw it to Garrett Wilson across the field, slight slant, whatever you wanted to do. The game was right there for us. But he decided, I need to be the hero. I need to be the hero. It needs to be about me, Mike LaFleur. It needs to be about me. So I'm going to just see that little obnoxious snot sitting up in the box, selfishly calling plays to make himself look good and not caring about the team and just getting the touchdowns and then doing it over and over again. And nobody's going to hold him accountable because it's Salah's little baby brother in his mind. It's his boy. That's what I don't like about friendships in the professional world. Like, everyone thought it was such a good thing. Oh, it's good that Salah loves Mike LaFleur, right? Oh, it's like his little brother, his best friend's little brother. They grew up at the dinner table. That sucks because that means Mike LaFleur's not going to be held accountable. Mike LaFleur's going to get to keep losing us games, and Salah's never going to do anything about it because it's his little baby. It's his best friend's baby brother. It's ridiculous. But it's Salah's fault also, guys. The head coach has a responsibility. He hears the plays. Tigo said it the best. He has the headphones on. He hears the play. He could have said, no, pick another one. By the second time, maybe, he could have said, we tried that the last drive and it killed the drive. Maybe we should just keep doing what we're doing and score. And then the third time is that whole coaching staff needs to come out and take accountability. They cost us the game. Yeah, Berrios dropped the ball. You know what? Lots of people drop balls. Lots of people drop passes. Berrios just happened to drop his at the end in the end zone. But for real, does that make it any worse than the other passes we saw dropped? That's at least physical mistakes, right? It's not on purpose. It's not from stupidity. But Mike LaFleur's mistakes are stupidity. Mike LaFleur's mistakes are about arrogance and selfishness. Nothing's going to get done about it. So it's frustrating. I mean, there are also many plays. Why have any player, when let's say it's 3rd and 8 right now, right? It's 3rd and 8, you're down. You're down by 10 points at one point in the game. For example, right? We're down by 10 at one point. We're down at the point, I'm thinking 17-3 or something. And it's 3rd and 8 or something. And right away, Mike White looks downfield. It's not there. He checks off to Ty Johnson, gets tackled, and we punt the ball. And that happened like twice in a row as well. Why? Why even have Ty Johnson? Why not have him stay and block? Why not have every receiver option be past the first down marker? Why even have a check down in that situation if that's what he's going to keep doing? Let's make it easy for the kid. There is no checking down. This game is getting away from us. There's no checking down. Look for an open man. Get an open man. And if there is going to be a check down, it can't be that fast. I'm sorry. Watch those plays again. He looked for like a second, and then he checked right down to Ty Johnson 2 drives in a row. And both times we get stopped and we don't get the first down. We left so many points against that defense. We could have put up 40 against that defense. There is no excuse. They were not able to stop us. We were superior to them. We were better than them. It was coaching. We got out-coached. Not even by their coach. It was because our coaching was so terrible. was a terrible game by Mike LaFleur. And the first half was disgusting for Jeff Ulbrich. Disgusting. How many first downs did he give them? He needed till halftime for Saleh probably to go over and tell him to knock it off. For someone to tell him, hey, when it's 3rd and 5, you don't give them 7 yards. You don't keep your guys 10 yards back and give them 5 yards of space. When it's 3rd and 5, you put your guys on the line of scrimmage and you press. So stupid. And so it wasn't even the defensive players, it was the coach. It was our coordinators that lost us this game. Yes, he was horrible. That's Mike LaFleur. Yeah, but you know what? We don't even know that because Bam Knight did great. I mean, you always assume Brees would have had a touchdown because Brees is freaking, I don't know, he's like otherworldly. But the reality is Bam could have had those touchdowns, man. He could have. We didn't let him because LaFleur was too busy having to be a show-off and calling stupid plays. Let me throw the ball backwards 5 yards and have our guy run around 10 yards, 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage because he's the better guy on the move running. Garrett Wilson is going to make a better pass. What was the point of that? It didn't fool anybody. You know why it doesn't fool anybody? Because Mike LaFleur does it every time. Everybody knows what you're doing. They watch the film too, schmuck. Somebody's got to take Mike LaFleur and smack him across his face. Just lost us a very big game. It's not fair to our players. We have too much talent to lose games because of the stupidity of our coaches. It's just too much already. What's up, Sean McAteer? By the way, Sean McAteer is one of the guardians of the Temecula area in California. There's 3 of them. He's one of the 3 McAteers. He's the head McAteer because his last name is McAteer. That's commitment. That's commitment. You guys just came on. That's the problem. You guys come on. I got to remind you. I am blaming Michael LaFleur. Mike LaFleur is the reason we lost this game. Bills favored by 9 next Sunday. Well, we're on the road, so isn't that worth 3 or 4 points? So they're saying they're 5 points better than us. 5-6 points better than us. It's not so outlandish. They just pounded New England to the ground, the team that we were humiliated by. But I don't care too much though, I mean, it's not like I could take advantage of it and bet on the Jets because if I bet on the Jets, every one of you should stone me to death. Because what I'm doing if I bet on the Jets is I'm guaranteeing we lose. I take away any chances of us winning if I bet on the Jets. The Jets have never won a single game or covered a single spread when I bet on them. So trust me, the last thing you ever want to see is me bet on the Jets in a bet. You do not want that. So let it be 9 points. I don't care if it was 20 points. I still wouldn't bet on the Jets. You guys could all you want. And I think it was ridiculous that it was 20 points, but I wouldn't bet on it. Because if I bet on it, I'm a horrible Jet fan because I'm guaranteeing that they're going to lose by 20 points. Because I don't win bets when it's the Jets. When I was little, I didn't realize that. Should have ran 4 times at the 1 for sure. Other than that, I don't think too much to complain about. Well, there were 3 other drives where he did a trick play in the red zone. And they were consecutive drives, and he took the momentum out of 3 drives in a row. Because after the trick play failed, nothing else worked because the momentum was gone. Because Minnesota got excited. They stopped us. They pushed us back a couple of yards. Now they're pumped up. It's about momentum. 3 times we were moving the ball and had the momentum. 3 times Mike LaFleur decided he had to show off and play and call a trick play. I see Green Bean. He's asking me for his timestamps. I got so carried away with the game, I forgot to mark down our timestamps of when things happen. So now I have to go back and watch. But luckily, it all happened in the second half. There was nothing that we want to relive in the first half. Nothing. Except maybe the 60-yard field goal. Was that the first half? I think that was the end of the first half, right? He kicked the 60-yard field goal? I think. But anyway, yeah, I'll get that to you, Green Bean. He's like a debt collector, Green Bean. People don't know how Italian Green Bean really is. First of all, he'll say things like, "It was a gift." You know what I mean? And then sometimes he'll say, "Try the veal." Also, he'll say, "Leave the gun, take the cannolis." And now he's saying, "Where are my timestamps?" He says it very, very quietly, very calmly. And if I don't get him his timestamps, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. The Jet Show. What's up, my brother? Mike LaFleur called some bonehead plays, you think? But he also called some great ones. I know. My biggest issue is not putting Robinson in during the goal line drive. Robinson is the guy. I don't know how good his knee is, though, as far as power, because he is playing on a bad knee. But how about just anybody? I don't care who it was. Ty Johnson, him, Bam. How about just, I mean, so painful. But here's the thing, and I'll say this, and I said this in the beginning, as mad as I am for Michael LaFleur, if he was a crappy offensive coordinator, I wouldn't be so mad in that way that I'm yelling. I'd be just saying we have a shitty offensive coordinator, and what can we do about it? What makes me more mad that he's not a bad offensive coordinator? What makes me more mad is that we were moving the ball, and he does call a straight-up good game. Most of the plays were good. I think that we deserted the running game a little because we fell behind by a lot of points. But most of the plays were good. That's not the issue with Michael LaFleur. The issue, or in my opinion, the issue I have with Michael LaFleur is that he takes away and he throws it in the garbage. Like he called these great plays, he designed great play, big play, gets us into the to the 18-yard line, and then he decides. Then he calls a play where he says, we're going to throw the ball. We're going to pitch the ball backwards 5 yards. We're going to have Garrett Wilson run around 5 yards in the backfield. And we're going to have him look up down the field to try to pass the ball possibly. That's okay. So that's one dumb thing, right? And then what happens is all the momentum we had after that play went away. Everything that else happened after that play was garbage. And we had to kick a field goal. Then we get the ball again. We hold them. Our defense holds them. We get the ball back. We come down the field again. Again, we get close to or in the red zone. And again, Michael LaFleur decides we're going to play backwards ball again. This never works, by the way. All year long, it's worked maybe once to the 15, 20 times in the last year and a half that it has not worked. It's like time for us to help the other team now and go backwards, because it barely ever works. It almost always is disastrous. So second time we get in, we're getting ready to possibly score, and he calls one of his Michael LaFleur's. He calls him Michael LaFleur. A Michael LaFleur is a backwards pass. He says, "Let's go backwards now. Maybe it'll work this time." So of course we go backwards. He throws it. Our guy's 5 yards, 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It gets broken up. Right? It doesn't go anywhere. And then all the momentum of moving down the field ended. And the next play or whatever it was, whatever down it was garbage. And we kick a field goal. Then we get the ball. And at this point, me and Greenbean are already complaining about it. We're already saying, please stop doing those plays. Just play football. Just do what you're doing. So we walk down the field again. We get into the red zone, and he does it a third time. A third time in a row. And for the third time, we have to settle for a field goal. In a row. I'm telling you, it's not that he's a bad offensive coordinator. It's like when, remember Zach threw the 3 interceptions against New England. We said it wasn't like he was throwing and not knowing what was going on. He made 3 dumb bonehead decisions, and it led to an interception each time, and that sucked for us. Well, this was Michael LaFleur making 3 ridiculously bad decisions, and that was just the beginning of it, because we all saw the bad decisions, like you said. We were first and goal, and we can't get it done. It's just inexcusable. The Jet Show, who's the master? Sure enough. Thank you for the super chat. Thank the Lord Jets gang ain't running this franchise. Who said that? Bro said Garrett and Bam ain't Curry White today. I don't know what that means. What are you saying, Snowball? Jeremy, you jinxed us. You said the Jets were going to lose the game 3 times during the game. Well, you think I jinxed you? I don't remember saying it 3 times, but I remember you're watching a game live. You don't have the camera in your face, Snowball. I have the camera in my face. I don't know what you say during the Jets game. People admittedly admit that they can't do it. Like Buffalo says, I can't be in front of a camera in front of the game. So I'm in front of the camera, and I'm just saying what I naturally say. Are you telling me that Jet fans don't all over the world don't say when you go down 20-3, for example, oh my God, we're going to lose this game, or you don't start freaking out that you're going to lose the game? I mean, it's not like I said we're going to lose this game and kept saying it. I took a deep breath, and then I said, okay, well, maybe we can score now. So I didn't sit there saying it's over, we lost, it's over. I may have at a few moments during the game said, oh, shit, we lost this game. And then I capture myself, and I think about things, and I breathe, and I process, and then I'm like, okay, maybe we can get back in it. But I can't help it. That's the thing about putting a camera in front of your face live. I don't have a chance to. I'm like any other fan watching the Jets play. I can't shut that off. Don't Jet fans get upset when the other team scores? We've had people say, "Good night, guys, gone out of here," when they go down by a touchdown. Like the other team scores a touchdown and they say goodbye, guys, and they leave and say that they're shutting the TV off. I mean, I don't do that. I was still hanging in there, man. 20-3. I was hanging in there, still believing. Put a big tight end in that halfback in those situations. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things they could do in those situations that are boring, but they get the job done. See, Mike LaFleur didn't want to be boring. He wanted to be a show-off. At least that's my theory. He might not even be aware of it. It might be like his subconscious, but I think he was getting, as Anthony is saying, I see him saying it in the chat, he was getting too cute. Greenby was saying it the whole game. He's getting too cute. He's trying to be cute. He's getting too cute with these plays. Why? They couldn't stop us. Why? Don't understand why. And each time, once we did the stupid play, that was it. We couldn't move the ball an inch. Yeah, you got to run the ball on the goal line, especially when your guy's averaging 6 yards a carry, right? I mean, I would have taken Fant and Mitchell to the sideline after both were stinking, like first Mitchell and then Fant was stinking. And I would have said, look, whichever one of you decides you want to be a football player and play and continue to have this job and not sit on the bench and watch the other one play, start playing. Who wants to play? Which one of you want to actually start blocking right now and playing? I know Tigo's not going to like that, but this was Max Mitchell's worst game as a Jet, by far. So bad that they had it. I said it. I said, is there a chance that they bench Mitchell here for Fant? And everybody's saying, no, I don't think so. Yeah, after the game, maybe they'll evaluate. And then all of a sudden, the next drive, somebody said, Fant's in. They benched Max Mitchell. I didn't hear any report that he was hurt. I think they just benched him because he was not blocking. It was his worst game as a Jet. Hopefully he learns from it. I don't know why it was the Minnesota Vikings that Mitchell decided to not play against. Like, I don't know what it is about their players that made it so hard for Mitchell. But that was not the Max Mitchell that we've had for the last few weeks or for the last, this season. Not at all. That guy was the guy we saw in preseason that we didn't think was ready to be an NFL player yet. He gets too cute. Yep. But even you guys are talking about the one drive. I'm talking about 3 different drives. 3 different drives where we could have scored touchdowns. At least one touchdown out of the 3. And then we would have only been down by 1 point. And that whole series at the end wouldn't have had to happen on 4th and 3. We wouldn't have been forced to go for it. We could have kicked the field goal, the winning field goal. Now, if we would have scored 2 out of the 3 times, we would have been well in the lead. And that none of that would have happened. We wouldn't have rushed down the field to score desperately. We would have been just sitting down, eating the clock, running short passes. So many ways we could have won this game. As a team sport, Mike White did nothing put in team on his back. We win this game. Well, I mean, it's really just I mean, Mike White, of course, I don't know exactly what I mean, I assume you're not blaming Mike White because it certainly wasn't Mike White's fault. I mean, Mike White, we can't expect Mike White to be a star that wins us the game like as a star. He was our third string quarterback, moved up to our second string quarterback, right? So it's like we all said it, we all agreed. We just need competent quarterback play. Mike White gave us competent quarterback play today. We had every opportunity to win this game because of that. The reason, in spite of Mike LaFleur's horrendous play calling, we had every opportunity to win this game, which is all we could ask for Mike White. And Mike White threw the ball where he had to throw it. He executed the play fine. Berrios dropped it. And that wasn't even Mike LaFleur's bad either. Like on that play, Mike LaFleur called a good play. It was really good. The fact that we were able to get Berrios open right there in front of the end zone, but in the end zone, that was really nice. It was a nice design play. Berrios dropped the ball. What could you do? But it's going to be really rough for Mike White next week, and I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Wilson's the number 2 quarterback, like if he's active. I wouldn't be shocked if they're going to prepare. So if Mike White looks absolutely awful, that they're ready to bring Zach in. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. I would be surprised, but not shocked. But we'll see. But Mike White did nothing wrong. I mean, he didn't play great. He didn't win us the game, but he certainly did not lose us the game. He gave us enough. He gave us what we needed to win. So, can't blame him. Why are we talking about if we lose to the Bills? Let's freaking go and win the Bills. I know we could beat the Bills. I know. We can't beat them unless Mike LaFleur stop. Mike LaFleur's got to stop trying to be the hero, though. We could be there if he humbles himself and just calls a good game and just puts it in the hands of our players. If he pulls the crap he did today, we won't beat the Bills. Bills' defense is a lot harder. But I agree. And I one of the things I seen there is with Mike White, I do worry about the checkdowns. It's it's good to do checkdowns, but it can't be your whole offense. Your whole offense can't be checkdowns all day. Now, he didn't in the second half, though. In the second half, he was winging it. We saw it. Zach, Garrett Wilson didn't get to 160 yards by accident. He got there because Mike White was throwing the ball to him. So, right. And they weren't joke passes where he threw a 2-yard pass. He was throwing it downfield to people. Yeah, I don't understand, man, with Zach. I know. It's crazy. It's so hard to understand. The reality is he's just not doing it. When you look at the stats of how many yards every other quarterback that plays for us puts up, and then you look at the amount of yards that Zach puts up, I mean, what could you say? It's just what's going on? Why can't he freaking throw for more than 150 yards in a game? But yeah, I don't know anybody who would blame Mike White for the game. He's not. I think that Mike White, if we won the game, he wouldn't have been the reason we won. It wouldn't have been Mike White, the hero again. But also, he's not the reason we lost. Mike White just did his job. He gave us good enough play to win the game. He put us in a position where we were able to win the game. And that's basically, I think, what we're asking of him, right? I mean, maybe we were dreaming and hoping that he could do more. Maybe we were hoping he was going to keep playing amazing and we weren't going to, But the reality came in that he's just, he's a guy. There's a reason why. There's a reason why he's our backup. Now, I'm not giving up on him. If he starts on Buffalo, if he starts against Buffalo, we're going to root our asses off for him. I'm going to root my ass off for Mike White, just like I did today, just like I did last week. If Zach ever gets back in there and it's him, I'm going to root my ass off for Zach. And if it's Joe Flacco, I'll root my ass off for Joe Flacco. Whoever they put in there at quarterback, I will root my ass for that player. There's no question about it. Anthony G, $1.99 super chat. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. These super chats go a long way. People don't know. They add up and they pay the bills and they keep the studio running. There are bills to keep the studio running. Lighting, the StreamYard account, which I pay. It's ridiculous how much money they did. Like, believe me, those thumbnails I make, I pay money for that every month for the right to use that program. So thank you, Anthony, and everybody else, the snackers, everybody who contributes to the channel. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody just for subbing. And then I appreciate people, even if for some reason you don't like the sub, just for watching. All of it matters. All of it helps. So thank you, Anthony, for your super chat. Can we talk about more giving up on routes again? I got to look at the all 22. I didn't see it, but if that's true, that's really upsetting. It's hard to believe he's such a hard worker. Was there evidence he was giving up on routes? Well, Jets gang seems to have soared too. I don't know why more stop on routes. That's really upsetting and concerning. But I would have to. I have a guy for that. His name is Dom C. You guys know him. I ask him, and he tells me the answer. So I'm going to hold off on answering it or making an opinion or a judgment because I don't know if it was his job, if he's doing what he was supposed. I don't know anything. I'm going to look at it. We're going to look at the all 22, and Dom C is going to tell us if Moore was giving up on routes. I'm not going to pretend I know. I can't tell because there's so many things we're watching. I don't know how you can see it all. You know what I mean? I'm watching Mike White drop back for a pass. I'm watching, oh, no, like nervous that they're going to sack him. Then he throws the ball, and I watch the ball, and I watch who catches it. So I don't know what Elijah Moore is doing. I know that he didn't catch a lot of passes today. So some of you do not like Zach Wilson. I get it. Some of you want to let him develop. I mean, I kind of want to meet in the middle on this Zach Wilson thing. Okay? What I'm going to say is he's not it right now, but there's a chance he can develop and become it. So I'm going to stick with Herman and say, let's see if Mike White can develop. And if he can, that's great. And if he's not, we move on. And that's just the way it's going to be. It's a very tall order. It's going to be very, very difficult. We're going to talk about, I mean, it's still Sunday. I'm still reeling from the Viking loss, but I promise you on my Wednesday night show, Wacky Wednesday, we will talk about the upcoming game against Buffalo. I'm sure you're going to hear about it all week. All the shows will talk about it. Sorry, I'm exhausted. All the shows will talk about it. There'll be plenty of time to talk about Buffalo. And can we beat them at Orchard Park? I think everybody assumes automatically that we're going to lose. Because when you lose to revenge and we're in their stadium, I don't know if I'm ready to say that. Sometimes a team has another team's number. Maybe we have their number this year. Maybe we go in there and we shut Diggs down with our Sauce guy and our Reed guy. We shut those guys down, and Josh Allen gets frustrated again because he doesn't have his toys to throw the ball to because they're not open as he'd like them to be. Maybe we hit him a couple of times, get him seeing those ghosts again, give him happy feet. Why should we give up? Why should we feel like we have no chance to win? I mean, they don't just get the win, Buffalo. They have to beat us. Did it look easy for the Vikings today to beat us? Didn't look easy to me. They came within a drop pass at the end from losing that game or being in grave danger. That's from A Few Good Men. Are they in grave danger? I eat breakfast 300 feet from there. No, I'm not going to get started. Yeah. So, yeah, look, they both missed passes. That's the problem we're having at quarterback, guys, is that all quarterbacks miss passes. We happen to have quarterbacks who miss multiple passes. Now, I don't, we got to stop the fight of Zach and Mike White, because nothing happened today that makes anybody could say, see, I told you. We don't know if Zach is going to ever be better than what we've seen. And we don't know if White can get any better than what we've seen, and we don't know if they will. And they might, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this year and then what our team does. But right now, quarterback is a question mark. Like, we don't know what the future is going to bring. Not a great place to be. I think we would love to just know who our quarterback is. We need to stop. We need a run-stopping defensive tackle next year, a specialist. Yeah, I thought we had that in Falicassi, but we let him go, and he didn't have the best year for us last year. Maybe that's why they let him go. But yeah, I mean, look, you know what kind of specialist I want? I want a safety who's a stud, who's going to show up every play, not miss tackles, make great defensive plays. Like we could use a stud safety. We could use I don't know. CJ's getting old, so maybe I don't know about the linebacker position. I'll shut up about that, because I think that I really like Sherwood a lot. I think he's going to be an up-and-comer. Braxton Burrows caught that touchdown pass. We would have won the game. Well, his last name's not Burrows, but okay. Wouldn't be talking about this right now. Possible. You mean Berrios, but yeah, he didn't catch it though. So we are talking about it, unfortunately. We also might not have won the game. So remember that there was still 90 seconds left, which is a lot of time in the NFL. We clearly see White can't take you over the top, Jesse. I'll never beat the team with checkdowns. Yeah, Jets gang is not a fan of Mike White. I think you're saying that he has limitations. I question how many progressions he can run through, because it feels like to me he only looks at one guy and then he jumps it off. That's my worry and concern. Although somebody disagrees with me, so we're going to work it out this week and find out the truth. We need a solid, consistent running game. I thought the running game was good. We just didn't use it enough. We fell behind. But I think there was a point where we got back in it enough where we could have went back to it, and we didn't enough. Is that fair? Mike White made 7 to 8 big-time throws today. He deserves the same respect as any 5-game starter in NFL history. That's a good point. It's a good argument. But if they really deep down believe that Zach's the guy and they want to resume the development, that's what they might do. So Herman wants to win with swag. I like winning with swag. Cover your mouth. You just coughed on my stromboli. I cleaned this microphone cushion, just so you know. Wow. Let's just continue to argue about Zach and Mike White. I knew it. We're going to have to it's going to be like forever. And so we got to work this out just for my Saturday. 49ers chaos. He's kind of pumped. But he was going off about, you see, the problem that 49er chaos is having is that he was making a big deal of Jimmy G being really good and how the Niners need him. So some other people are going to be giving 49ers chaos a hard time about that, because apparently anybody could step in and win games for the Niners. Look, their quarterback is out for the year. I don't think it's going to be good. I don't think they're going to be very happy in San Francisco. Although the kid Purdy played really well, and now I have a feeling they're all going to be thinking he's like their savior. And you know how that works. Eventually, he's going to play a game like next week. He's not going to be good. Or he might be their savior. We'll see. Wouldn't that be an amazing story? That would be rubbing salt in our wounds. That they have some guy comes off their bench and leads them to the Super Bowl. Jeremy, I hope you're nudging the student body to become Jet fans. It's hard, man. The kids that are on my campus, they care more about, they play football. I never really ask them very often who they like. I have to do that. I have to ask them who they like. They probably like the Raiders, most of them. Some of them Niners, and a lot of them Raiders, I bet. And then there's always Dallas fans, especially with young people. They love Dallas because of the hats and the jackets and stuff. Zach is a top quarterback in the twilight zone. Well, give him a chance to develop. Come on. You never know. Bam Knight was running all over them in the second half. Why didn't they just give it to him when they were on the goal line? I don't know. Why even throw it to Berrios, run the damn ball? Well, on that play they had to. It was 4th and 3. There's no way if they would have ran it on 4th and 3 and didn't get in, we would have burned one Jets drive down to the ground, right? I mean, but they should have never. You're right. It shouldn't have come to that. Jingle does. It shouldn't have come to that. It's true. I love the way we fought. I know. We fought, man. We were down 20-3. We could have just given up. We could have just given up like the old Jets would have given up. It's not the same old Jets. It's not. We're a different team now. Nolte is a very big Mike White guy. And look, it's not like Zach has given us so much to be excited about. 8 games over 285 yards without Wilson in 8 starts. 2 games over 285 with Wilson in 20 starts. I know the yardage thing, but yet the question still remains because he seems to be going against tougher defenses when he plays. He always comes out for the games where it's easier defenses. I don't know. It's hard to argue some of these things. Like that's the thing. That's why Zach is a complicated issue because they were winning. They were 5-2. They were winning. But at the same time, his numbers weren't good, and his game against New England was so bad. As bad as I've ever seen a quarterback. Really. We've put in some really bad quarterbacks in this team, right? And let them start. Can you remember a quarterback that played that poorly like Zach did in that game against New England? Like, it's hard for me to say that there's worse. It's hard for me to point out who played worse. Like, it's as bad as any game we've ever seen from a quarterback. I mean, our quarterback. I don't care about I see people putting in the chat. I don't care about anybody else. I'm talking about our quarterback. Yeah, he got 355 versus New England with the 3 interceptions. And then, I mean, I don't care about the games where he didn't throw for a lot of yards and won. Like the Green Bay game, the Denver game, the Buffalo game. None of it bothered me. I thought he played well enough for us to win. That's what you ask a quarterback to do. I mean, yeah, I want to see eventually, because of his draft pick selection, being 2nd overall, my dream was for Zach Wilson to be more than just a guy who we can win with. I wanted him to be the reason that we win. And it's not impossible. I know some of you anti-hating Zach people who have already decided he's a bust don't believe it. But it's not impossible. Like, he's 23. He's had some moments. Not enough, but he's had some moments. And in those moments, he showed promise. Like, he did things that not every quarterback could do. The Tennessee game last year was amazing. At the end of last year, the game against Tampa, those games, the numbers weren't good, but he was playing with backups around them against their starters, and he kept us in the game. And then the Pittsburgh game, the 4th quarter against Pittsburgh, he looked like an elite quarterback in those moments. I don't know why he can't do it more consistently. I don't know why that's not him all the time. I don't know what was in that moment against Pittsburgh that he couldn't. I thought that was his breakout. I said, oh my God, he's going to come back and be great now because now he knows he can do it. And then it just didn't happen. So I don't know. I don't know when we're going to see him play again even. I mean, my job as a Jet fan is to root for Mike White when he plays. Like next week, I have to hope he plays well because I want to win desperately. But if he plays well, that means we don't see Zach. But maybe that's a good thing because he's playing well. If he doesn't play well and Zach comes in or Flacco comes in and then we get back to Zach football, then we're back where we started. We got a young quarterback who's a huge question mark who doesn't look like he's getting any better. So there you go. It's not a great situation for us. You don't think so, huh? Do we know about every quarterback, though? Do we know it's never happened? I guess what you're saying is that you think Geno Smith was better when he was on the Jets. I bet, yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue if you look at the numbers. I don't know. Before that New England game, I didn't feel that way. Like after we beat Buffalo, I didn't think that Zach was done. I mean, some of you didn't like him, but I wasn't seeing it that way. I thought he was still getting better, possibly. He's learning how to manage a game. He's learning how to lead us to victory. He's learning how to take what the defense gives him. I mean, it's not ideal. You pick a guy with the second pick. I'd rather have him be more than just a guy that takes what the defense gives him. I would have liked him to become like an exciting young star like Burrows or Justin Hubert. Some people believe that could still happen. I don't know when, though. Like, at what point? Like, I want to ask the biggest Zach supporters, the people that go crazy defending him, okay? I want to ask them, how long do you give him? You know what I mean? Like Matt is a big Zach Wilson guy. Everyone knows I'm a Zach guy. Look, he said it. I didn't plan that. Everyone knows I'm a Zach guy. But Mike White deserves the Bills games. Okay. That's interesting. He's a little bit of turn from you. But a little bit of turn from what you've been saying, especially because I'm trying to make a point now based on what you've been saying for 2 weeks. I'm interested to ask Matt, how long? How long do you give him, especially with the way the Jets are playing? So, because I see people saying, Herman says 5 years, which is hysterical to me. Some guy says 3 years. But here's my question on that. 3 years means another full season. Our team got really good. What if it doesn't? What if we say, okay, Zach, we're giving you 3 years. We're going to pull you back in. Let's say the Buffalo game doesn't go great. Zach comes back in after that. Right? So in 2 weeks from now, we got Zach starting. Let's pretend that's the situation. Let's say he finishes out, not as bad as New England, not great. That's the most likely thing, right? That he'll finish the season out, like that kind of, okay. So he finishes out the season, maybe we make the playoffs, we lose the wild card game, whatever. Let's say that all happens, and we come back year 3 and say, well, we're giving Zach 3 years. Some guy said 3 years is the right amount of time, right? So Frank is already saying that 3 years, no, the Jets receivers will want out. So let's say we give him the 3 years. Let's say third season, next year, he comes in. Now, let's say some good things happen. Becton's back. Yay! He's healthy. He comes into camp at 350. Let's just pretend. He's looking great. Max Mitchell comes in. He's no longer a rookie. He's physically stronger. He's ready to go. Maybe we extended McGovern. Maybe we found another center who's decent or whatever. Okay, he's there. AVT is back. Hooray. Lincoln Tomlinson is lined up and ready to go, and we have our offensive line, right? And then we have our Garrett Wilson coming back year 2, ready to be the biggest star in the NFL, right? We got Breece Hall. Imagine this scenario, right? We got Breece back. Everything's looking great. We're stacked. We got great running backs. We got plenty of wide receivers. Jeremy Ruckert is now ready to make an impact. All good things are happening to the team, right? But Zach Wilson is getting his 3rd year. Now let's see, everyone comes out and balls out. They're playing great. Our running attack is great. Our defense is great. But we're losing games. And let's say we're losing the games. We're just pretending now. We don't know this will happen. But let's say we're losing games because Zach Wilson is continuing to throw 55% to 60%. He's throwing some interceptions. He's not throwing a lot of touchdowns, and he only puts up 150 yards a game. What do we do? You're going to say, let's give him the whole third year and just waste everything else away? Waste Garrett Wilson's second year? Waste the last year of, remember, these guys are going to be, their contracts are ending. We're on a timeline every time. We can't keep all of our players. We don't have the salary cap, right? We get stuck in the cap issue. So we're already getting hurt this year by quarterback. He already kind of hurt us, and not tons. I mean, hey, we're 7-5. We're in the playoff, like we're in a wild card right now. So it's not the end of the world, but like next year we're supposed to get better. Next year we don't just want to scrape into the playoffs. Next year we're thinking we want to go deep into the playoffs and see if we can get to the Super Bowl, right? So how long could we wait? How long could we wait for Zach to develop while we have a team that's ready to compete? Like how long do we wait? That's the question. Because I don't see how we could just sit there and wait and wait and wait and get insufficient play. Like, at some point, don't we have to? I mean, it's like sucks because I thought Zach would have plenty of time because I thought it was going to take the team some time to be competitive. Like, I didn't know that we were going to get into this position right away where, right, who knew that we were going to get into this position right away? Some of you are going to be yelling now that you predicted it. Yeah, I get it. But really, I mean, realistically, after 4-13 last year, most people that were really thinking about it were agreeing. Like, it would be great to get 8-9 wins. Now, we added a lot of talent, so we all believed it was possible we can get 9-10 wins. We all believed it was possible, and now here we are, and it looks like we could. But how much longer can we wait for Zach Wilson? That's the question. How long can we do it? Can we let him destroy next year? Like, if next year he's holding us back and it's very evident, now we don't have a quarterback, right? Because we're not going. If we don't give up on him, if we're giving him 3 years, that means we're not going to go out and spend $20 million plus on one of the free agents. That means we're really going to roll with Zach. Tough decisions, guys. Tough decisions. Because the truth is, as much as you hate hearing it from some of the people in the chat that are saying it, is incredibly rare to the point where it's hard to name a similar situation where a quarterback started their career this poorly and then came back to be a good quarterback. That's just the facts. It does not happen often. We cannot use Josh Allen to compare to anymore because Josh Allen was not this bad. Like, everyone thinks like and acts like Josh Allen was so bad year 2. He wasn't. He wasn't this bad. He wasn't this bad. This is about as bad as I've ever seen. I mean, like, really, it's really bad. The only thing that made it a cushion for me before the New England game and made me fight and resist and say Zach could still be the guy was the fact that he was at the time 5-1. So we were 5-1. We had just beaten Buffalo, and I was defending him. I was saying, this is it. I said, this is it. He's got to go in and beat New England. He's got to beat Chicago because that's a game you got to win. And the rest of the year, he's got to win the games we need to win. He's got to be a different level quarterback. He's got to be a better quarterback. And he was. And then he came and he wasn't. And he got benched. So one game changed everything for so many of us because I was still believing that he could be our guy. And the second when he came off that field against New England and said, I'm not sorry to the defense of the New York Jets. Big turn for me, guys. Big turn. That was rough. But I don't know. And then you got to worry. Are they the right guys to develop Zach? Do we have the right coaching staff to develop him? Do they know how to develop a quarterback? Who has Mike LaFleur helped develop? Is that even true, or is that the biggest lie in the world? I used someone that said that's all nonsense. A great quarterback is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. A bad one's going to be a bad one. And that all that is just excuses, who the coaches are and all that. just perspective. I mean, it's hard to know what the future is going to bring in our quarterback position. It's really frustrating because I was so sure that position had been taken care of for a long time now. For the last, like up until I had doubts after the first New England game, but then after the Buffalo game, I was like, okay, I think we're good with Zach. Then the New England game happened, and just everything hit the fan. And now we just don't know. Do we have our quarterback of the future or not? And if we do, is he named Zach Wilson or is he named Mike White? 70% of the quarterbacks drafted in the top 5 fell because the roster is horrible. Wilson is just horrible. Joe is not a fan. Zach Wilson. I used to get so mad at him. Remember I used to get mad at you, Joe? I was like, oh, ridiculous. We know, same old thing. I used to get frustrated with you. Now I just have submitted. Can't fight with Joe anymore about this. He said 20 games. What has he done to prove it's not true? Then at the same time, it's only had 20 games. Give him another 10. We'll see what happens. He was top in that. I think he was top only in the sense that he didn't turn it over, right? I don't think he had any interceptions, but I don't know if he had. Well, maybe he had the highest percentage in scoring too. What does it really mean, though? I mean, what if you don't get your team into the red zone enough? You think he needs to adjust to being in New York City? I mean, look, he had all last year. The real question, it's not about can he, part of it is not just can he develop. It's, again, do we have time? Do we have time to wait for him to develop if our team is ready now? If we come back next year and we have a roster that's ready to compete for the Super Bowl, for championships, are we in a position where we could sit there and say, we're still going to wait for this kid to develop and be held back by a quarterback? It's really not easy decision because we are stuck to him money-wise. There's no way to fix that. Not that it's tons, but it's money. It's very bad if you cut him. It's like a giant cap hit. So we don't want that. But this is the hardest part, that I can't argue too. All the things we're talking about, all this negativity, all this bad feeling could have been alleviated if Berrios just caught the ball. It's true. I mean, I love the kid. It's not a mental mistake. It's not a selfish thing. He didn't do things that make me hate a player. He didn't. Right? The thing that makes me not really dislike players is when they're selfish and they put themselves first and they cost us the game or, it's not what Berrios did. He's not selfish. He didn't do anything wrong except he just dropped the ball at the wrong time. Of all the drop passes today from the Jets, he did his at the worst time, in the worst moment. And I was so happy with Berrios the last year and a half. I think what he's been for us the last 18 months, he's been nothing but wonderful. He's been a great guy to have. But today it didn't work out. If he catches that ball, everything is different. We still love Berrios. We'd still be calling him reliable. If we won this game, we'd be 8-4. Oh my God. We'd have the playoff spot almost locked up. We just need a couple more. I mean, with what's going on now in the league, with the Chargers losing, Miami lost. Even though the Niners had their backup quarterback and Jimmy G got hurt, the Niners still lost. Huge. Also shows us that we can stop. That maybe us stopping the Dolphins wasn't only about Tua not being there because the Niners just stopped them with Tua there. So maybe it means that we're still going to be able to stop the Dolphins even with Tua there because Maybe Tua is not so good when he's going against a defense like the Niners and us. Same defense. Maybe he doesn't like it. A lot of pressure, a lot of good pass rushers, a lot of coverage because we're not blitzing. If we're effective and we get to him, if we get to him, we can beat down on Tua. We can throw him a beating. The two most important games this year are still Buffalo, Miami. Those are still the two most important games. Like if you had to rank the wins, like if you could only win 3 more games, which 3 games do you want them to be? Well, Buffalo and Miami are automatic. Those 2 are automatic. Those are the 2 you pick automatically. Then you could sit there and fight over which is the 3rd game that matters. Probably Jacksonville because it's a conference game, right? Whereas the other games are out of conference. So that's just what it is. It's the reality. You know, like this Buffalo game is tremendous. It's a huge game. Just because we don't know the situation, one day the game we're about to play them might be the game that later is why we won the division. Who knows? Because think about it. If we beat them, then all of a sudden they come down with still a game behind them, but we bring them back down to earth. Plus their confidence is reeling. You never know. The Miami game is probably going to be for a playoff spot. There's an outside chance that it could be for more, but I think the Miami game is just going to be for a playoff spot. And I don't think Miami is going to need to win it. I think Miami is going to be playing for positioning and seeding in the playoffs, and we're going to be playing for our playoff lives. And all of this is okay. By the way, guys, I'm not being negative. Because us going to the playoffs in any capacity is amazing. We were 4-13 last year. I know we want more. I know we got excited and we want more. But at the same time, that doesn't mean we could drop all sense of reason. If we make the playoffs, there's no way anybody could say the season is a failure. The problem is, and it's our worst nightmare, because we said it at the beginning of the year. I said, well, there's 2 different ways to make winning. I don't know why I'm imitating Salah. There's 2 different ways to make it to the playoffs. One is we make it to the playoffs because Zach is amazing, or we make it to the playoffs because the team is awesome in spite of Zach. And I said I'd be really bummed if it's the first scenario, because the last thing I want is that not have our quarterback. All I wanted out of this year more than anything was to know we had our franchise quarterback. And the worst part of this year right now is not that we lost today. It's that we don't know and don't have confirmation that we have our quarterback. And that's the worst thing, because that's the most important thing I think, for an organization. I think you lock down your coach, you have your staff, and then you need your quarterback. And now we don't know. We're in lingo. It sucks. But yet we came within a 5-yard pass not being dropped to beating one of the better teams in the NFL. So who knows what we can do with just an average quarterback. I don't even know if we have an average quarterback. I guess Mike White got to be considered average, right? Some might say no. Some might say he's very below average. So average quarterback might be all we need. Some guy, Jeremy, my take is White is better than Zach, but I still don't believe Zach was given enough time. Okay. So that means you believe that White is better than Zach at the moment, right? Because if you believe he wasn't given enough time, that means you're saying there's potential that Zach could be better. Let's solid decide who is the starting quarterback, and I'll root for them. Some guy, that's exactly where I am. That's exactly where I am, too. Exactly where I am. I will root for whoever they throw out there and hope whoever they throw out there is great. Last I checked, that's what a fan does. Would be awesome if would be awesome for Zach to be traded for Jimmy G. Zach would probably flourish in San Francisco. I don't know if there's just any way around the money, though, because I think that there's tons of cap hit even if we trade him. Maybe not as much as if we cut him, but there's still cap hit that has to be considered. The problem with Jimmy G is we know his ceiling. Don't get me wrong. Jimmy G would be best quarterback to walk into our building in a long time. But we kind of know what his ceiling is. Maybe it could be a little higher. You never know. Maybe the Jets, Garrett Wilson. I don't know. He has Debo where he is now, though. But Jimmy G would cost a lot of money. The problem with that is we have a lot of guys we have to pay. Otherwise, we're about to lose a lot of talent. So we have issues, not huge issues, not, oh my God, it's the end of the franchise issues, but we're not immune. We're like the rest of the league. We have issues. We have big decisions that have to be made and decisions that could make us not as good next year if we choose wrong, because we're going to have to let people walk out the door, very good people. So we're going to see how it goes. Today was so unacceptable. If we don't make this play, only because of Zach, if we don't make the playoffs this year was a bust. I agree with that only to the extent as if Zach does nothing still, that's what makes it a bust. Look, at this moment, it's playoffs or bust. My holy king, sir. At this moment, you're right. But overall, no way. Like it was never, when the year started, it wasn't playoffs or bust. It was improvements or bust. Playoffs would be great. Now it's playoffs or bust because we see that we can. So anything less than making the playoffs is a bust because we clearly see that we're able to. We clearly see it. We have our backup quarterback in, and we've all nothing. We did everything we could. We were in a position. We gave it away, but we beat we had the Vikings beat. We could have beaten them by a bunch of points, but even if we didn't, we had them beat. We had them beat. We were playing on their yard, and we had them beat. That's all you can say. We had them. We played with the big boys. We're real. This is a team a Viking team that went into Buffalo and won. Okay? They're a real team. And we went toe-to-toe with them. We're good. We're legitimate. We are. Can you imagine if we had a quarterback? Can you imagine? Like if we just had a good, solid quarterback every week. I don't know. There's a lot of people, though, that still believe in Mike White. 2 games, 600 yards passing. If the receivers would have held on to the ball, Mike White could have had another big game today. Remember that first interception? Not on him. It wasn't a great pass, but it wasn't an interception. That's the ball got popped up in the air. But he didn't make a pass he didn't misread the defense. He didn't get fooled or tricked and throw the ball into the defense. He didn't. The ball went up in the air. It was really bad luck. He didn't deserve to have that interception. He deserved to have an incomplete pass or a completion if Corey Davis would have been able to make a great play. But that's fine. Like, it shouldn't have been an interception. He didn't do that. He didn't misread the defense. It wasn't an errant throw. It was just bad luck. Really, really shitty luck. I know. Nino's saying it. It's the truth. We just need a competent quarterback. And we saw that today because Mike White was competent today. It wasn't great, but he was competent. And we could have beaten the Vikings. We didn't lose because of him. Now, there were some things we should have been better because their defense is not the greatest. But they weren't a battered, beat-up defense that had tons of injuries or anything, and they're still a 9-2 team, now 10-2. So there's only so much, you can say. I mean, we're good enough that with Mike White, we can go into Minnesota and beat the Vikings. That's for sure. Yeah, I thought he made some big time throws, but he also made some mistakes. It's hard, because the numbers get screwed up. There's a lot of drops. And it's hard to know if, sometimes you have to watch the tape. It's hard to know if they were his fault or not. Did he put the wrong touch on them? Was it really the receivers dropping it? Was he making it harder? Were they out of stride, so they were off balance? Like, it just depends. He didn't look as accurate today as he did against Chicago, but he didn't look horrible. He certainly did not look as bad as Zach looked against New England. I'm sorry, that's the truth. I'm not trying to be a Zach hater. I'm just telling the truth. Mike LaFleur did not look as bad as Zach looked. I don't think that Mike White looked bad today. I don't think he looked great, but I don't think he looked bad. And I definitely think he made some really good passes, and I think he made some bad passes, good passes and bad passes. Now, do I think that Mike White is our future franchise quarterback? I'm sorry, but I don't. I would love to be wrong, and I want to be wrong. I don't care if it's Zach. I don't care if it's Mike. I want it to be one of them, but I don't think either of them are going to be our franchise quarterback. And if I'm wrong, great. I promise you, I want to be wrong. But I just can't sit here and lie and say I think that one of them is going to be a franchise quarterback. I don't feel that way. But I think that both have a chance, and I don't think it's an impossible thing. Like, I'm not sitting there saying definitively. It's not black and white. It's not like you have to be absolutely no or absolutely yes. You could be in the middle. You could be somebody who says, I think Mike White could be good, but I'm not really sure. I think I could see him failing, maybe, and I can also see him succeeding. He's kind of in the middle still with me because he's only played 5 games. I see potential that he might be really good, be that solid, efficient guy. And then part of me sees a guy who, when he is put in a position where he has to press, throws interceptions. So I don't know. It didn't feel like a fair game, though. It didn't feel like the referees were being fair. That's just my opinion. Are you asking for Strevler? No, I'm not asking for Strevler. What are you talking about? Strevler is just an interesting backup, an interesting story. Be fun to see him in preseason again next year. I'll tell you that. I don't know if it'd be fun to watch him in a game. I honestly don't know if that would be a good thing. What is he in the Hall of Fame for? Was it the yards? No, because you don't get in the Hall of Fame for throwing over 400 yards, right? Like, what was he in the Hall of Fame for? Was it first NFL game with 400 yards? Like, what was the celebration? What got his jersey in there? What did he do that was Hall of Fame worthy? I remember he had a great game. But was there some records he broke or something? Help me out with that. I'm not really sure why it's that Mike White's jersey is in the Hall of Fame. This was pass interference on Mims. That was pass interference on Mims. So Mac had better game on worst team. I'm not going to start. Mac Jones is no good either, so it doesn't matter. We could argue all day about Zach and Mac Jones and Mike White and Mac Jones. It doesn't matter. Mac Jones is not the answer either. At least I don't think. Yeah. Why are we talking about Mac? Melvin. I love Melvin. Sean McAteer, at least Mike White threw the ball. Sorry, I'll take interceptions. If we get points on the board, we went 4 and out with Zach in most of the game, and he said, not my fault. That's not being a leader. I know, but at the same time, Sean, it was one game that was that bad. Not that the rest of his games were great. But I think the thing he said after the game, I think that's on the coaches. Like, again, they let him fry. I honestly think that he wasn't himself when he came off that field. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think he was himself. I think as soon as he had time to think about it, I think he was in another world. He didn't even know what he was talking about. And I think after the next day or on the plane, supposedly, he was disgusted in himself because he couldn't believe that it was him that says, what he said. I love this. Yeti's 5-2. It's truth. His 37 completions are the most by a quarterback in their first start. Oh, okay. That's why Hall of Fame. 37 completions. Wow. Also became the second quarterback since 1950 to throw for 400 plus yards in debut. Got it. He had so much promise back then. I'm just joking. Still, it's only a year later. If we win next week and Miami loses, we can get the second wild card spot with us having the tiebreaker. Yeah, I think that if we're tied with Miami, we're technically above Miami. And also we're not worried about Miami because we have to play them in the last week anyway. So unless there becomes a 2-game difference between the two of us, and that would be probably not good for us because they're not going to fall behind us 2 games at this point. I think what you're talking about is we're going to be either tied with Miami or a game behind them, and it doesn't matter which, because when we go in and play them, the last game of the season, the winner of that game is going to have the notch over the other one. So as long as we can stay within a game of Miami, when we go into that last week, we beat them, we're above them. We lose, they're above us. So there you have it. That's the one good thing we have going for us, is that we do have a lot of control over our own destiny because of the teams that we play. The problem is the teams that we play are really good. We have to go on the road to play them. So it's not going to be easy. You know what I mean? Is that what it's called? Assurance? When we have that tiebreaker thing going on? I don't know. I thought I had like 300 people in here tonight. I swear. I said, oh, nobody's live. I'm just going to jump on. Every Jet fan in the world is going to want to talk about this. Yeah, we got to 50 people at one point. That's not that bad. So thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate everybody who came. I needed to vent. I needed to talk. I let my wrath, my anger out on Mike LaFleur. I needed to do that. I said it before, just in case I'll say it again. The Vikings fan had a comment to say. Vikings fan, let me tell you guys, before the game, we were so nervous because we knew Mike White was going to pick us apart. We knew that your defense, you guys had no reason to hang your heads. We got a little lucky today. Anyway, go beat the Bills next week. Oh, it was a nice Viking fan comment. So, yeah, look. What was I saying before I saw that? It comes a nice message. I was thanking you all for being here. I needed to vent. I'm upset. There's 2 things, like Buffalo says, 2 things could both be true at the same time. On one hand, the part of my brain knows it's finally happened. We finally turned this franchise around. We're finally a real team. We're finally capable of winning anytime we step on the field. It's been a really long time since that's been the case for the Jets. I know everybody wants to win now, but the reality is we are a real team now, and it's been a long time since we've been a real team. We were a joke for so long, and I really hate the thought that if we don't make the playoffs, I feel bad that the fact that we're competitive now and we're good is going to be overshadowed by that. Like, I think both things could coexist. I think we could be, if we don't make the playoffs, I think we could be upset. We could be hurt. We could be devastated, have our head in the pillow, be really upset. But at the same time, we can also recover from that and look back and say, great season. Like, great job from JD. He built a team. We have a team now. It only took 2 years. We came in, the new regime came in, new coach, right? Came in, and we had a tough season of building, and we were 4-13, and that sucked. We stuck with them. We believed. And then we had this year where we made this huge playoff run. We won tons of games, more games than we won last year and the year before combined. right? And we could be both. We could be really sad, but then we can recover from it and take a deep breath and say, wow, I can't wait for 2023, for 23. Because we're a real team now. And now we're going to add on some more draft picks. And we're going to get healthy. We're going to get AVT back. We're doing this all without Breece Hall and AVT. Our two best offensive players. Well, Garrett Wilson may have stolen that crown. But we have two amazing players coming back next year. AVT and Breece Hall. Breece Hall might be the guy. He was the guy that was changing everything for us. And if he comes back 100%, which is very possible because players do come back 100% from ACLs sometimes. So there is hope that he's going to come back 100%. We get him and AVT back on this team the way we're playing now, we really are a quarterback away from a Super Bowl. And could that quarterback be a more developed Zach Wilson? Could it be a more experienced Mike White with more games under his belt? Or could it be somebody we bring in, like a Gary Minshew? These are the questions. But isn't it interesting to have these conversations after the shit show that has been the New York Jets since 2015? And even that we knew was borrowed time. We knew that 2015 year was a one-and-done year because there was no way we were going to sustain anything. There was no young core on that team. So it's been a long time. So part of me, hates this pain of losing a big game. And part of me wants to say, hey, man, good to see you, old friend. Because I haven't seen this pain in a long time. And the only way we can have a chance at winning a Super Bowl and hitting glory and doing everything we've waited so long to do as Jet fans, the only chance we have for that is that we have to be vulnerable to that pain. We have to get our hopes up because that's what that pain is. We get our hopes up and then it doesn't work out. That's the pain. But if they stayed crappy and we never got our hopes up, we would never feel that pain, but we would also have no chance of ever feeling the victory. I, for one, am going to live with the pain and accept the pain, believing that one day we'll get the victory. And that's what I got to say about the subject. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great week this week. I'll see you hopefully on Wednesday night for the Wacky Wednesday show. I'll be on at 10 p.m. Eastern. Take care. It's better to have loved than to never loved at all. I can't even read it and get it right. I'm stealing that. I'm not giving credit to the guy who wrote it. But anyway, best Bills channel or not, thank you for your wisdom. It's better to have loved than never have loved at all. Take care. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for being here.
I would regret it if people look back at the first episode and you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's called forward thinking.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Connor could shove that article up his ass.
And then I went to that game and I was like, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm a Jet fan. This is going to be the greatest run ever. Yeah.
No, because if they take a Kwanu, I'm not complaining.
Joe Douglas is the king of keeping shit close to the vest.
A 2, a 4, and a 6 for Darnold.
Did the Jets really ruin Sam Darnold, or did Sam Darnold just suck all along and we were just trying to talk ourselves into it?
And Hamilton is a player who can potentially make a very big impact.
And suddenly here we are today, you can't get rid of him.
Right. It's like a plague.
Joe Douglas was hired because he's not those general managers.
Okay, Luscious.
Somebody is going to fall just like Elijah Moore did, just like Michael Carter did.
If you had one sentence to say to Joe Douglas, what would you say? So you would say, you had me at hello, and then give him a big old wet one right on the smack.